To continue with Spelljammer combat and exploration art. Give me a second here to check my signal, get through my intro spiel, and then we'll get to work for 100 some odd minutes. Let's see here. Beep, 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 beep. Beep, 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 beep. Beep, beep. Channel. Let's check my signal here. Bloody, bloody, blah, 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 blah. Check my signal here. Bloody. Holy Hannah, that's coming through loud and clear, my guys. All right. So, okay, I'm going to go through my intro spiel here, and then we'll get to work. So, copy, paste, copy, paste. Hey, my name is Phil Kearney. I create role-playing game supplements. I publish them online. I've been focusing my attention on Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition for the past few years. If you check in the description down below, there is a slew of links to other D&D supplements that I've produced on the DMsGuild over the past couple years. They're extensive previews, so you click the free preview button, or the full preview button, you'll see maybe like 150 some odd different illustrations that I've created and a ton of content related to D&D ideas in general. So if you think that kind of stuff is cool and you're a D&D player, consider checking it out, picking it up. Otherwise, you can support the channel by following me on Twitter at Phil Kearney, which I've just published that I am live. So if you want to find out when I'm live in the future, you can follow me on Twitter at Phil Kearney. You're also here on YouTube. Best way to help is like, subscribe, hit the bell icon for me to help boost my signal. So let's get into it. What do? We make role-playing games. So we have a concept. Let's grab our book here real quick. The Spelljammer Combat and Exploration book that we've been creating here. It's as soon as the thing finishes loading up, gets rid of my spinning wheel. You'll be able to see we created this book cover. We're at episode 185 today, so this was of episode around episode 15 through maybe 20 something that we created that, and here's the end result. We've got 108 pages of Spelljammer combat and exploration mechanics, stuff like how far away can I see a guy floating through the astral sea without a ship? Like how far away can I see him with visual contact? Like we have mechanics about that in the exploration section. How can I keep a ship from jumping out of distance, like to jump into spelljamming speed at 100 million miles per day from combat? Like how can we call that pacing, to be able to use a reaction to stay in relative distance to the other ship so that you can maintain fire on even though it's trying to evade you. Reload mechanics for siege weapons, specialized ammunition, lifestyle costs for crew per day or per season, anywhere from squalid to aristocratic. We're going to get to each and every one of those pages, plus the 20-page conversion guide for Light of Xeraxis. At the end of all of these mechanics, we provide a proof of concept by translating the Light of Xeraxis adventure that comes with Spelljammer's Adventures in Space from Wizards of the Coast, translating that adventure into using the mechanics that we've presented inside of this book. So not only are we giving you a lot of deep space physics and combat options for large-scale stuff, but we're applying it for something you can use immediately if you picked up the Spelljammer the Spelljammer box set from last year. And you wanted to have a little bit more depth than what that adventure provided. This is an opportunity for you to delve into that space. So we're going to continue working with the art here. Currently, we're working on the ships and equipment section. So right here, we're looking at the different types of landing and the terrain that you can do so, whether it's solid terrain or liquid terrain like ground and water. Depending, there's a number of pre-built ships, and they can either land or not. And if they can land, they can either move. They can either traverse that surface because they have some sort of legs, or they can't. And from the liquid perspective, they can either land in water, such as the Scorpion can't. It's a metal ship, so it's just going to sink. Versus, yes, I can land there, but I don't have any sails, so I can't actually move in the water like the Lamprey. Or a Shrike ship, or the Star Moth. Yeah, these things can touch down in water, but they can't actually move. As opposed to like the Hammerhead ship, the Flying ship, a Bombard, a Nautiloid, a Space Galleon. They all have the means of actually traversing a surface of water, like sailing on water. However, of course, you can move 10,000 miles per round if you're flying, so just touching down is just kind of like a courtesy. You could always just maintain, you could skim across the ground and still be flying at anywhere from 5 feet per round to, again, 10,000 miles per round, which will just take you out of orbit immediately. If you're at ground and you kick to 10,000 miles per round, you are you're going to take some inertia. You're potentially going to take inertia shock if you can't pass your Constitution saving throw for taking so much acceleration in such a tiny period of time, from 0 to 10,000 miles per round in less than 6 seconds is going to have some gravitational pull on you. So there's this concept of inertia shock, that if you accelerate or decelerate too quickly, that you're going to end up basically tossing everybody around inside of the ship. It's called scuttling, when you potentially cause falling damage inside of your own ship for getting shook up. So, like if you're rammed, you can get scuttled. If you crash, you can get scuttled. If you land too quickly, it's considered crashing, and you can get scuttled. And if you overclock or decelerate too quickly, it can throw everything off of your desk. And that is also scuttling. So the scuttling mechanics are a thing it's an optional rule that's presented in the book to help keep you, since you can only attack things within 1 mile, but you can fly 10,000 miles per round. There's a huge, that's a 10,000 scale, like a magnitude of 10,000 difference between being in combat range and not. And technically, Spelljammer Adventures in Space has no real rules about changing that acceleration, except that if you're within a mile of something else, you automatically slow down to 30 feet per round as your flight speed, which everyone hates. So now it's just a matter of relative distance. If I can ramp up, I can be right next to you and high five you and then yeet out at 10,000 miles. But again, it's going to have incredible crushing effects on you. So the inertia shock basically stuns you, scuttles your ship, disables your helm for a round while you reorient yourself. So if you try to, it's basically a stun attack for people that try to bail out of combat too quickly. You can naturally ramp up more slowly. Like the DC from 1 to 10,000 is like the DC is something like 26, a Constitution saving throw of 26. It's 20 plus 1 times the magnitude of scale that you're accelerating. 5 feet, 50 feet, 500 feet, 1 mile, 10 miles, 100 miles, 1,000 miles, 10,000 miles max speed. That's a magnitude of 6 from 1 to 10,000. So, or from 5 feet to 10,000 miles. So it's 20 plus 1 per scale that you jump, but you can always change speeds by 1 magnitude during movement. And of course, you can also use your standard movement as a dash action, which also counts. So you can go from 5 feet to 50 feet to 500 feet if you take a double move. Or you can go 5 feet to 50 feet back down to 5 feet, or 500 feet to 50 feet back to 500 feet, or 500 to 50 to 5. You have those steps, 1 step per movement, and your enemy can do the same. But if anyone tries to go faster than that, tries to accelerate or decelerate faster, being clever about trying to out jump weapons or try to jump in quick to get an ambush on somebody, you risk stunning yourself and leaving your ship exposed. So it's dangerous, but as you gain higher levels, and especially with the rogue, that becomes reliable. If you have a rogue as your pilot, their reliable skill, or a bard even, that reliable skill is really critical. As you gain higher levels, you can do cool things like fast skip maneuvers like that. So anyway, right now we're trying to depict something about ships being on solid terrain and water. So I've been drawing this little this scorpion ship. It's still a sketch, but that's kind of what I was thinking about. Is it's like a scorpion on a hill that overlooks the bay where a boat could be. So like this guy's like, hello. This boat's like, hello. I don't know what I'm talking about. Let's see. Let's look at our list. Nautiloid cannot land. Ooh, that's kind of a cool idea. Actually, instead of the the other thing I was playing with was cuttlefish. And there's that terrain. I was originally looking at doing a scorpion and some cuttlefish in a cavern, but that just seemed kind of dumb. So it's like a rhyme without a reason. But if instead we have cuttlefishes invading the beach like Normandy off the back of an nautiloid, that's kind of cool. So I'm actually digging on that idea quite a bit right now. So let's stick with that groove, and let's see. Let's do some ridge here to establish. Hold on. Let's get our borders in place here so we know we're playing by our own rules. Baseline. Let's go here and here. We can let's play with our horizon line. Let's put in a Noboloid. Then we can have our cuttlefish up front. Scooch nautiloid over a little. Yeah, I'm kind of into this idea. Let's go fetch. Here is our cuttlefish. It's a little 20-foot by 20-foot mecha terror created by the Illithid. This and the Spiderling. Hold on real quick. Let me copy these and pull them in as references here real quick. Burp. But I'll just show off these things. So this is 20 foot by 20 foot, right? 5, 10, 15, 20 by 5, 10, 15, 20. Pilot helm here. Front weapon here. And it has tentacles, which can also make attacks up to 10 feet away. Then we have the Spiderling, which is sizably larger, has both siege weapons as well as mounted weapons, the pilot seat. This is a 1, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. This is a 40 by 40 craft, so it's significantly larger. But, I mean, if we're talking normal D&D, these cuttlefish mecha could fit in, they're 20 feet. They're gargantuan size, but they're pretty compact. You could potentially find these in Underdark caverns and stuff, like being Illithid sentinels, for instance. Like if you were to awaken these craft so that they become sentient warriors, then they become sidekicks to powerful Illithid. But you have these things stack up on your Nautiloid. So let's get rid of that real quick, and let's go back into our vessels. All these craft and vessel tokens and maps are included with this supplement as a zip file. That's the Night Spider with its ridiculous weapon array. Get on board with that shit. Nautiloid, there we go. So Nautiloid is 50, 100, 150, 200. It's a 200 foot by 200 foot vessel. Obviously, it's got weapons mounted all over the place. So it's got all its melee tentacles, as well as a trebuchet and a ballista, 1, 2, 3 ballista, a mangonel, and then 4 mounted weapons. Obviously, it's a little front loaded, but that's kind of how they do. Let's see if we're talking about cuttlefish hanging out on the back of this. I need to grab this real quick here for reference. Let's do that. Let's create a reference folder. But I mean, if we're comparing Habbles to Habbles, these this is what 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50. This is a 50. Let's change that. So this is actually 10 squares, right? And this is a 50-foot square. So we can actually show you in exact proportion how large these craft are compared to the vessel that would carry them. There. So that's the size if I were to cut this out independently. What is going on? Thank you. That is literally the size of this craft compared to this vessel. So you could very well have, and I love to do this, is have them crawling around on your ship. But if this is a carrier, right? So you could have attached, gripping the bottom. Since there's 2 gravity planes, a top deck and then an underbelly, and the underbelly isn't really used a lot, mostly because it acts as a shielding. You know, the pilot can roll the ship so that the ship can take damage instead of the crew, providing cover for them, which is an intrinsic part of the initiative group mechanics and targeting abilities to not be able to shoot crew with siege weapons or small objects that are aboard a ship. If there's any kind of cover, siege weapons are too large to be able to target something so small. So the underbelly is often empty, unused space in Spelljammer, just in general. Like Wizards, 2nd edition, the underbelly isn't used a lot. It's a perfect place to store vessels. So if you ever want to increase the challenge of a single ship, I can easily stack 1, 2, 3, 4, potentially 5 of these little cuttlefish on the bottom of the vessel. They can just stay there. So if you want to activate these using the focus system instead of the attunement spellcasters, you can just jump off. You can jump off deck to the underbelly, and then like use the gravity plane of bouncing. You can just bounce off deck to get back under deck, and then just walk over, climb into a craft, focus your attention on the helm, and then just start yeeting off. And you can have these things. If this was an enemy, it would be swarming the ship, potentially tearing it apart. So your team has to deal with vessel combat, fighter craft combat, as well as creatures at the 5-foot scale actually on deck, all potentially taking shots, throwing spells, engaging in melee. And once you get a fighter craft inside of your gravity plane, it is difficult to shake them out of it. They got stickiness. Let's get rid of that as well. Right. Once they get into your gravity plane, and you have the pilot of the vessel would have to take the disengage action to try to shake the fighter craft off of the same plane of gravity as the vessel is, so that the vessel would be able to evade and move away from the fighter craft to try to escape or to reorient themselves so that they can take shots at the ship as well. But once a fighter craft gets onto you, it's a passenger, and you can't shake it off. So you like using a delay action to disengage and move to make sure that you aren't getting boarded by fighter craft is a thing that you can think about. It's a thing to be concerned about. So anyway, I'm going to go back to work now. Now we had a chance to play with these things a little bit. There. Anyway, that's the fun of it. So we're currently building these cuttlefish fighter, these little fighter craft. They can, you go over here, cuttlefish. Yes, they can land on solid ground, and they have a 50-foot movement speed because they have these terrifying tentacles that they can crawl around on. Plus, again, they have mounted weapons that they can take shots at you with if they want. But let's see. Let's get back to work. Nautiloid out here, he's fine for the moment. This is where I need to focus my attention. I'm going to duplicate this layer because that's what we do. We call it front cuddle. Let's try that again. You know what? I forgot to set my timer. There we go. Take a sip of coffee. If you're any Robotech fans out there, these things really remind me of the Invid, which is an alien enemy species of mostly bug-like ships. Have a real fluid, organic look to them, kind of like this blobular look. Invid are fucking cool. The whole Robotech series, or Macross, dealing with Illithid, they Most Piata is the anime that the third generation of Robotech was taken from to provide us with Cyclones and Alpha Veritex, which are incredibly cool fighting Illithid. If you don't, Invid. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I'll take a tangent. Ended. Robotech. Here they are. These things are dope. Let's go with, nope, let's go with art. Yeah, these are what these things look like. They're pretty cool. Oh yeah, here's a good array. Here's your different Robotechs. This is Zentradi Craft, and these are Invid. Here's an Invid Scout. That's about 30 feet. That's an Invid Warrior, which is about 50 feet. This is an elite unit, and this is no, this is an elite unit, and this is a commander class. So these things are about 50 some odd feet, and I think this is also 50 feet. And then, so this is the enemy in the Most Piata Robotech series here. Yeah, like 30 feet and 50 feet, I believe, is the scale. How large? Wait a second. Size of Invid mecha. Height. Oh yeah, only 10 feet. So this is like a 15 by 15 foot vessel. Breadth is 3.75 meters, which translates into 2 meters, 6, 7. No, there's roughly 3 feet per meter. So yeah, that's only like a 10 by 10 thing. And so the larger ones are like maybe 40 feet, and this one's probably 50 feet. Let's go look at Most Piata Mecha images. Art. This stuff is so dope. So yeah, there's the Invid 10-footer. Here is the Cyclone transformable motorcycles, which are about 7 feet, medium-sized creatures or medium-sized mecha. Invid Scout 10 feet. Here you have your pilot. Oh yeah, it looks like about 25 feet, and this guy sits inside of 50 feet. So size comparison, size chart, human mecha. These things are so fucking cool. We can duplicate all this stuff using the using the mechanics that we have inside of this book. Give me a little time, or potentially a lot of time. But one of my side projects is to start doing mecha for this system. Not necessarily keeping it in D&D. The scaling in the basic mechanics is eternal. Expressing them as Spelljammer is temporary. God, I love these things. So freaking cool. Yeah, that's about a 50-foot scale truck. Maybe even 40 feet. Anyway, TIE fighters are 35 feet. X-Wing fighters are only 42 feet. And all of our fighter craft fit inside of 50 feet. So we've really created what can be used for not only Spelljammer, but for any space simulator game that you want. So we'll eventually export the basic mechanics of this into a separate mechanic system that we can basically put on DMsGuild, or maybe like do a Kickstarter to really lean into the sci-fi-ness of all this stuff. But I digress. I've geeked out enough. Get back to work, Kearney. Don't dream of the future. Stay in the now. Something like that. Bump, bump. What we got? Another tentacle here. Bring this in a bit. I could probably bring these in a little. One, two, three, four. Pull this one forward a bit. Twist this one. Squiggly there. Size just a touch. Narf. Right. So there's this thing called an arcane cannon, which allows you to convert cantrips and spell energy into force damage siege weapon attacks. Well, it's if you're using a cantrip, it's only mounted weapon damage, like 2d8 or 2d10 damage, depending on how strong you are, which is pretty small scale damage. Like a harpoon flinger does 2d8 damage. So a cantrip is about equivalent to firing a harpoon flinger, but it doesn't require any ammunition. If you amplify your attack using a spell slot, then it becomes siege damage. Like levels 1 and 2 is d4. So d4, d6, d10, d8, d10, d12 times 10 damage. Siege weapon is always die times 10 damage. So you can ramp from a first level spell at d4 up to a 9th level spell at a d12 times 10 damage. I don't know why anyone
would spend a 9th level spell slot for doing D12 times 10 damage. But if you're using spell points and you have a bucket of 80 mana and it costs 9 mana to create a 9th level spell effect, then throwing 9 mana at a D12 times 10 and being able to do that 4 or 5 times before you're thinking about, you know, what's my spell battery looking like for the rest of the day. That's actually not a bad use of mana, especially if you don't anticipate having a lot of combat that day. Like a lot of D&D tables only have 1 or 2 combats a day. So you can afford to have a wizard on, or, you know, a cleric, or anyone that's a full caster anyway, that's able to ramp up the 9th level spells at the 4th tier of play on arcane cannons, firing off shots like that. Like a D4 times 10 only costs 1 mana, and you've got 80. You can do that all. I mean, like literally, you can do that all day. Considering there's typically, so if you're going to use normal D&D assumptions, that you've got 8 encounters a day, and say half of them are combat encounters, so that's about 4 combat encounters a day, and then you're going to anticipate a normal combat lasting 3 to 5 rounds, or typically 4 rounds. So that means you've got about 16 rounds worth of combat per day that you should be budgeting for as a DM, just on the average, assuming that, you know, you have traps, tricks, and social interactions with other things during the course of the day to flesh out your encounters that you can grant experience points for. So you only really need to, let's call, I like to say maybe 20 rounds of combat per long rest. That kind of gives you a baseline for how much resources you should have available to your character to do proper adventuring over the course of a day. Which tells you that, like, if a 17th level wizard has like say 78 mana, then they're going to be able to, well, let's just call them a 20th level wizard has 80 mana, right? And if you're going to have your 20 rounds of combat in a 24-hour period of time, that means that you can expend 80 divided by 20 is 4 mana per round on average. So you can either crack out a 4th level spell every round of combat, or like a 6th level spell and then chill with like a 2nd level spell, or like cantrip, 7th level spell. Like you're still pacing around 4 mana per round of combat, assuming that you dump your entire payload into combat. If you want to do exploration and divination stuff, then maybe you limit yourself to 2 or 3 mana per round, so you leave a cache of 30 to 40 mana after you take all combat into account. But a lot of folks only have 10 rounds worth of combat per day, like one big fight that stretches out for a while. So you kind of have to pace your action economy as a DM to what the team is actually investing their time in doing and what they actually enjoy doing. If they actually do enjoy combat, then you should really be upscaling the amount of combat that you have in your game, and just make faster, quicker, more punchy combat. Like creatures might only last 2 or 3 rounds, but if they do 2 or 3 cool things during those rounds of combat, and then you have them recur 3 or 4 times, then you have more of that action RPG feel where you're facing a lot of enemies and all of them can do a little bit of something that's cool, but they don't last long, you know? So you kind of have to, like, enemies don't have to be epic. Like, at all. They can just do cool stuff and then get killed. So, I mean, quite frankly. That's how we roll. So I'm going to adjust these tentacles here. Yeah, we can do like that. Cool, that guy's good for now. Let's work on his back cuddle. To 15 minutes till coffee time. Yeah, if you don't think Illithid are tough enough, you can put them inside mecha, and then have the mecha attacking while the Illithid is using its arcane cannon. So it's got this weapon system here. This is an arcane cannon. So if you've got an Illithid up here in the pilot chair, and then you have another Illithid here at the arcane cannon, then this thing can the mecha under the pilot's control can be attacking you with tentacles, while the second Illithid can be using its psionic blasts out of the eye aperture of the mecha to be firing psychic damage bolts at you. Swap, swap, swap. So you get this thing meleeing at you, and then you got the psychic blast, and then it can use the amplifier to increase its psionic blast to stun you. So you get stunned, and then you get grappled with tentacles, and you get torn to shreds. So that's a decent third tier combat. And again, these things can fly, and they can fly. Craft use minor helms. They can't fly nearly as fast as full Spelljammers can, but they can still clip at 100 miles per round. So full Spelljammers with major helms, they can do 10,000 miles per round at the 1,000 miles square scale, which translates over the course of a 24-hour period of time to roughly 100 million miles per day, approximately. If you fudge it and look at it sideways, which is how we work here. We work sideways. But yep, these guys are coming to Waterdeep. Coffee time. Oh wait, I'm supposed to... That's what we're doing. There. Coffee, water chaser. Yeah, this shit's dope. I'm having a perspective issue here because these guys are on the same plane, so I need to naughty, nautiloid. Let's fix our horizon. Pardon me. Uncouth. I actually position this here. And then trim these tentacles. I can create foreground. I can use the terrain, cutting off the tentacles to indicate depth. But I'm not quite happy with how that sits. Maybe more like something more like that. Back cuddle. we'll use atmospheric disturbance to make this cuddle here. I feel like I need to push that up. I need to pull the horizon line down. If I pull the horizon line down to here, I can scoot. Ah, that feels better. A second layer. That's what we needed. Absolutely. That'll help with our perspective issue. I probably want to make that a little smaller, actually. That's still pretty big. Now, what do we do about our naughty? If we transform, maybe flip horizontal. I think that makes more sense. Cool. Yeah, we can have it at an angle. Do that, and then tilt, and then free transform, and that. There, that'll help clean up the perspective issue. Let's just put this at a bend like that. That. Not bad. not horrible, anyway. Yeah, so the Lithid like to animate, like to awaken, or like the awaken spell of bringing their ships to life, so that they become servants, not machines. The disadvantage to that is if you drop a nautiloid to 0, it dies instead of being destroyed. Destroyed ships can be repaired. Dead things have to be resurrected, right? And the resurrection isn't really in the Illithid skill set, so it's a risk reward thing for them. They don't like having their ships killed. Two, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then 8's back there someplace. Cool. So in general, a Lithid would rather run away than lose their ship. There we go. That's better off. Actually, those tentacles look pretty good. Better than these. So let's fix our tentacles. We got shitty tentacles. How do we get such shitty tentacles? I like those tentacles. Those tentacles are better. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oof, we really need to pull back on those there. And we need to drop this down too, so it doesn't get so much in the way. Squiggly splooge. Humans don't have squiggly splooge. Acceptable. Pull those up. And pull this whole thing down. Now things are starting to feel, the composition is starting to feel more balanced. Terrain. Just gonna seal our reference. That scorpion's cool, but well, didn't work out, buddy. I liked you. It just didn't work out. Trash. Like that can get pulled in a bit. And now we're just balancing. I like the mecha. I like what they are now. It's just a matter of balancing the composition. Definitely want to break horizon with those things. Breaking horizon means making sure that they're over the center line. There. Probably want to bring the nautiloid down a bit. Why are you... Oh. Okay. Itchy face. All right, so let's start. We don't need strong detail back here. These are very distant. So like dropping the opacity like that is actually sensible, and comparatively this would be cuttlefish would be like that, while the foreground cuttlefish would be strong language. So we need the most detail and best architecture here. We need moderate detail and architecture here, and then we can stay rough back here, and then we can fill in the difference with color, sky and water. So I think these guys are complementary to that. Yeah, they've got like a greenish thing going on, which should stand out against the sky pretty nicely. Yeah. Let's see. Yeah. I hear you. So how are we looking? 720? Okay. Still got a bit of time. So let's just be very, very rough with our colors right now. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven. Eight. Fade it out a little bit. Go back down here.
And then terrain. Let's grab some additional references. Let's go with Oregon coastline. Yeah, I meant Oregon coastline. Look at that. That's freaking perfect. Holy crap. What a great picture. Yeah, don't give me any shit, son. Let's go with... Why aren't you letting me copy that image? Wow, what a bitch. Alright, screw you. Steal it myself. I love how the internet is not letting me copy. Does anyone else have a shout out at me if anyone else has problems with copying images off of searches sometimes? Like for some reason it just doesn't like I can just do like copy image, like right click copy image, and it just won't copy it. That happens on Wizards of the Coast, and sometimes it happens on Google. I don't know about nobody else, but I find that just happens. And maybe that's not the best image reference. Yeah, again with that bullshit. So let's snip. Oof, that's mossy.
So I stream 6 days a week. On Monday through Friday, I do Eberron. I do Spelljammer artwork like this. On Mondays and Thursday nights, I do Eberron artwork, either cartography or NPC and creature tokens. On Tuesday, today at lunchtime, in about probably in about 5 or 6 hours, we'll be doing the martial powers mechanic development, converting martial classes for D&D into a mana resource system to do like exploits, maneuvers, sustained effects, boosts, stances. If you like and subscribe, hit the bell icon, or follow me on Twitter. You'll get notification when I'm live today, probably in about 5.5 hours. It's at 7:30 here in Seattle. We'll make that 1 o'clock today, so that should be in about 5.5 hours from now. We'll be on doing martial power stuff, and then in addition to that, on Saturday we do commission work. So we just finished the Reclamant book cover. That was commissioned by Ukulele Bard. So I'm going to take the opportunity. I should have another cover, I believe, that I'll be working on. Not this Saturday, the following Saturday. What would that be? Starting August 12th. I should have another book cover that I'm working on there. But this Saturday, I'm going to spend a little time building brushes and demonstrating Bob Ross techniques in Photoshop, so that anyone that's interested in doing digital landscape painting like Bob does, check it out. Like and subscribe, and that's typically at 9 a.m. Like it's 7:30 a.m. right now in Seattle at this moment. So it would be 9 a.m. Pacific time, which is noon Eastern time if you're in America. Yeah, that looks roughly right. Let's put water. Doesn't have to be overly complicated. Ooh, man, that's some sharp blue skies up there. I don't know if I want it that sharp or not. Green. Okay, well, it's not monochrome, so I'll probably afford to jump into that. So yeah, let's do some of that. We're just grabbing some color samples. I want to have lighter color behind the nautiloid so it stands out. Let's blend it in. Add another little bit of richness to this here. Pretty good.
Not bad. All right, cool. And then so we got sky. Pretty simple landscape. Slew. No, it's sky, buddy. It's sky. And we can come down into here and grab out of here. First off, let's just grab a base. Be my baseline. We can have a wave coast effect here. That'll be a fun little thing to do. It's super small scale, so it's not going to be like large detail, but we can do breaking waves and cresting and stuff. That'll be a lot of fun. We'll do beach, and then son of a beach, and then we'll come up in here and let's just grab at some of this greenage. Whew, man, that is a dark color. I'll do like break across here. That in, thank you. Mossy. Let's be here like that. Not bad. I'm pretty happy with that. This is a decent start. So I'm going to leave that there for now. What's the next thing we're working on? Oh, super simple. We already have a bombard back in the hazard section. I know it's such a small little snippet space here. Here's a breakdown of all the ships that are in the Spelljammer, breaking down the size of them, the space that they occupy.
hit points, materials, the strength and constitution bonuses that the ships have without a pilot, the weight of each ship, the cargo capacity of each ship, the towing capacity of each ship, the cost of each ship, because we break all that down for you, so you can effectively build your own ships just off of the raw stats, and then create whatever floor plan you want for yourself. But it's not overly complicated. It's pretty basic, because you're basic. Lock in the text. Let's see. There's a bombard. It's the bombard. Yeah, we could probably pull that off. This will be the second bombard that we have illustrated in this book. I wonder how dragons feel about how much dragon motif and imagery there is in human or, you know, humanoid art. I wonder if they take that as a compliment or just as the natural order of things that they would be worshipped like that, or I don't know. Hey, there's some text happening over yonder. Whoa, lots of text happening. Sexy royal pair. I don't know what you're at, buddy, but I think you're about to get banned. So I appreciate you showing up, but it's time for you to go. Let's there you go. Get out of here, buddy. Apparently, I'm popular enough again for bots. That's I guess something to celebrate, right? I guess. If that was some sort of a joke and you're actually an ally, you're welcome to ping me where it is that you think you know me from. It's a fun little ship. Bombards are neat. Bombards are neat. And I can afford to, yeah, stretch them out a little bit. Yeah, that'll work. It's simple. You know how we do. We'll drop in a space splash behind him. Make it easy peasy. Bombard. That was easy. This page is full. Here we're doing some breakdown of cargo and towing limits. I need to adjust where that's at, apparently. We'll get to it. I want to leave that in place so I can see this, so I can go into the actual Word document and nudge those into position, because apparently they're offline. We'll fix that. But and it's a little off skew here too, so the whole thing can shunt over a little bit. That's probably good. But yeah, we're looking at cargo limits. Everything can, the carrying capacity for vessels is 10 tons per 5 feet, and then for craft it's 1,000 feet, 1,000 pounds per 5 feet, so half a ton per 5 feet, as opposed to 10 tons per 5 feet. And then so you actually have the weight of the vessel, which takes away from its carrying capacity, and then it's cargo that takes away from its carrying capacity, and it can tow twice what it can carry. So it has to carry its own weight as well. So you take the carry minus the weight equals your cargo, and then your tow capacity is your cargo, is your tow minus cargo minus weight. So the total carry is 10. Like if I had only 2 tons of weight on a light vessel, then I'd be able to carry 18, I'd be able to tow 18 tons per 5 feet of ship. And if you have a 200-foot ship, that's roughly 4,000 tons that you'd be able to tow behind you minus your weight and your cargo limit. So the weight for a 200-foot ship would be 5 feet. It'd be 40. It'd be 80 tons. So 80. I'm sorry. It'd be 40 times 20. It'd be 800 minus the 80. Your towing limit would immediately be reduced to 320 tons. So you'd be able to tow a few ships behind you. And as you can see, the heavy ships have a much heavier weight to them. The carrying capacity stays the same. Just the material will change how much the weight of your ship is, like a scorpion ship or like a night spider. Like a night spider is a metal ship as opposed to an elven star moth is a light material ship. So they both have the same 5 feet, it's 40. They both have the same 400-foot carry limit, but 320 tons of that 400 tons is taken up by metal on a night spider ship, as opposed to only 80 tons on a light ship. So the carrying capacity is dramatically it's reversed, right? And then like medium, like a hammerhead ship is a composite material of metal and stone, metal and wood. So it's like a 50-50. So anyway, there's that, and then you have your cost per vessels per 5 feet. Crafting composite, so you can create, you can just rough out the rough costs for how much it costs to create a vessel without any kind of equipment on it. So that simple math, it's here, but there's no illustrations on this page because this page has graphs and it has a sidebar where we're showing an example of cargo capacity for a 200-foot star moth. Carry 400 tons, weight is 80 tons, carry capacity is 320 tons, and its towing capacity is 800 minus the 80, which is 720. So the cargo, ballista and crew, mangonel and crew, 4 tons of ammunition, wealthy lifestyle, because we have a cost per lifestyle for weight. So total cargo capacity is out of that 28 tons. So that means you have available cargo of 290 tons, and available tow is 692. Maintaining a lifestyle uses cargo space, as detailed in the ship's life section below. Siege weapons and ammunition also use cargo space, as detailed in the siege weapons section below as well. So there you go. I could probably stretch out this asterisk to go out to here. It looks a little clumsy like that, so I think I can change how that sits. Yeah, if I spread that out, I can drop this whole thing one side, so I can pull the whole thing up so all of it's the same, at the same height here, which isn't enough for an illustration. It's a little bit of breathing room at the bottom of the page. Yeah, so he's good, basically. This is a... here, we're looking at vessels, craft, air envelopes. The size of the air bubbles that I put around all the ships is described there. And then we'd have a grid diagram. I'm not going to bore you guys with building out this, but we have like a single 5-foot creature, a large size creature like an Umber Hulk, 5-foot square, a 2x2, which is a 10-foot square. And then we have a spiderling, which is 8x8, which is 40 feet, next to a night spider, which is 200 feet. So we got the different scaling that we have here. We're still parsing out how that works, but I don't think I'm going to bore you guys with little diagrams and maps and stuff like that. I think that's the kind of stuff I'm going to do off stream. Yeah. And then the Spelljammer ships themselves. There's no real space for artwork here. We've been working on the Barbarian Pilot. This is where we're at right now with it. I moved away from the armor to give more of a bare-chested barbarian feel to it, so that the idea of what it is comes out a little bit more. But obviously, it's still work in progress, which is honestly frustrating the hell out of me. But I don't want to bore you guys with me being frustrated. I'd rather just keep moving things forward and be able to come back and pick at this as I go along. Which means the only illustration that we have left is a shitload of illustrations on this page. And I'm not necessarily sure if I'm happy with this. I don't know if I like the overall composition at all of how like the page layout. Something else that I could potentially do with this is, if I add all that stuff back in, go with pick. Something that I could do here instead is grab this and instead push this down to the bottom of the page here and free up space inside of here. Get the wild space Ori, and SC and E. I could potentially move this whole block like over to here. Like move this like to here. Might be a good idea. Or I could leave this like that. And instead, take this, move that. Now, see, now we're just in the back setup. We just reversed things. Or we could do this. Potentially do like that. I'm just trying to see how I want to mess with this space a little bit. Could do that. Maybe that's how I want to do. Whenever the supplement mentions using an Ori, it is assumed the Ori is attached to a Spelljammer ship, either an Ori station or a Spelljamming helm, unless otherwise stated. So I think this should probably be positioned here. Ori station. Drop that down to here. So you got the Ori station, talking about Oris, and then Wild Space Ori themselves. we can drop that down to here. Come on, buddy. Get out of there. All right. That's not a horrible idea. Huh. Okay, maybe. Don't hate this. There we go. That's not horrible. I don't immediately hate that. Tree transform. And then we can that's not horrible. Burp, 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 burp.
Oh God, I gotta go. It's time for me to bail. I'm late, so I gotta get out of here. We'll figure it out. We'll figure this out in the next couple of days, I'm sure. I'll be back in about 5 hours to do some Martial Power Systems developments, and we'll be back again tomorrow morning to do more Spelljammer. So like, subscribe, hit the bell icon, yabba yabba. I'll see you guys on the other side. Later.